but let's move on now to an important discussion. The Ministry of Road Transport and Highways has proposed to bar the registration of government vehicles older than 15 years. These rules will apply to central and state government vehicles, state transport undertakings, public sector units and autonomous bodies. We have two gentlemen joining in. It could impact their industries. Vinod Aggarwal, the MD and CEO of Volvo Eicher Commercial Vehicles at Eicher Motors, and Nishant Arya, the Executive Director at the JBM Group. Gentlemen, morning to both of you, and thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Aggarwal, I want to start with you. So far this scrappage policy has not given details on whether it will be incentive-based or not. But I know that the industry is demanding that it be incentive-based. Only then it will, fleet operators will sort of, change their vehicle. But you tell us, what have you made of what has been announced and what could the impact be?
Good morning, Sonia. First of all, I think this is a welcome first step by the Government of India to declare that all the government vehicles more than 15 years, they will not be registered again. So therefore, it's a good move, I would say, and I'm sure government will come back with more such announcements. And definitely, if this scrappage policy has to be really effective, then it has to be incentive-based. Because if you look at the situation of any individual who is running an old truck, first of all, the people who run old trucks, which are more than 15 years, it means economically they are very, very weak, or they are just very, very small operators. Now, if you want them to change the trucks, old trucks, it means you need to create right type of cash in their hand. Unless they have that cash, they will not change it. Therefore, it is very important to understand that there has to be enough money in the hand of a person who is running old vehicle to incentivize him to change the truck. So that is what we are expecting, that there will be more such moves, there will be more announcements. This is a good beginning, I would say.
Okay, no, but still, you don't have a number, sir. How many vehicles could they be scrapping? See, government doesn't need an incentive. They want to start by example. Any guess number that CM or somebody may have, and has anyone already started placing orders? The Delhi suburban transport or the Mumbai suburban transport or any of the state transport, the Maharashtra state transport buses here in Mumbai look pathetic. They look like they will be not 15 but maybe 30 years old or 50 years old. Anybody has given you orders?
Not yet, but I think we have to assess the situation. My own assessment is that there are not much government vehicles which are more than 15 years old. There will be some, but the numbers are not available. But I don't think there are huge numbers which are there in the government. Like for example, even in the state transport undertakings, I don't think there are any state transport undertakings which have more than 10-12 years. Even the vehicles which we are talking of in Mumbai, they may look to be very old because these vehicles get worn out when they run, say, 200 kilometers in a year. And if suppose we are running it already for 10 years, it means they are already run 15 lakh kilometers or 20 lakh kilometers.
Got that, sir. Got that.
They will look worn out.
But let me try my luck with Nishant. Nishant, any whisper number that will come up as demand because the government will scrap them?
So Sonia, I think it's a welcome move, and definitely it will boost the confidence of the industry. And in different countries, governments have come out with such policies where they have incentivized in different ways. One is, as Mr. Aggarwal rightly mentioned, that they could give cash incentives, or they could be giving priority sector lending for such kind of vehicles to be purchased, so that the older and higher polluting vehicles can be off-road. Simultaneously, as we heard from the Honorable Minister also, that there may be a green tax or a pollution tax which would come in. So after 8 years or 10 years and at different intervals, depending on the size of city, the kind of pollution, these could be introduced as a deterrent for using the older vehicles. Because generally what ends up happening is that the metro cities, then urban cities, then semi-urban cities and then rural areas, So the vehicles keep transcending from one city to the other as it gets older over a period of time. And in certain cases, what they try and see, I am talking more about buses, that they start doing repair work, body work. And even though the vehicles are more accident prone in those cases, so that is another benefit which will be coming across. So road safety would also get enhanced as older vehicles are going off the road. And simultaneously, in terms of the total cost of ownership for the customers, whether we talk about the fuel economy, the complete performance of the vehicles, the capacity, I think all those elements would give a great fillip to the industry as we move forward.
Okay, Nishant, when I was speaking to you earlier, you told me that there are 2 million buses currently, the total number of buses, both government and private, that are plying on the roads. And out of that, about 100,000 government buses plying on the roads are older than 15 years. So does this imply that when the scrappage policy comes through, there will be a demand of 100,000 fresh buses? And how do you think this could impact a company like yours that makes sort of buses in the electric vehicle segment as well? What opportunity do you see here?
So, Sonia, just to clarify, what I shared was that close to 2 million buses are there on Indian roads. And I personally see where exact number we have to take out from SIAM or the Vahan portal and other things can be done. That about 3% to 4% of these vehicles, whether it is private or government, primarily in the rural areas, could be of that age, which would be there. And definitely as we move forward, that demand will come to the market. But whether it will come immediately or not, it's tough to say that. But as I see that opportunity will definitely come by. And also in many other cases now with the announcement in the budget of about 20,000 buses and 18,000 crores, I think that would also add where people would be incentivized to use that kind of a public-private partnership framework to introduce those kind of vehicles on the road and also replacing the older vehicles. So maybe they would club a couple of different policies available to do so.
Okay. Well, we are still living in hope. Vinod, what is your sense in terms of the demand now? Is March looking much better than March last year or Feb and Jan?
March this year will be much better because last year March was a washout. Already lockdown had started and the March industry, if you look at, it was
just compare it to Jan and Feb.
Feb also was better. Feb, the industry has grown, as you have seen. The trucks are almost normal now. In fact, there is no recession as far as the trucks are concerned. The buses are only down. Buses are down because schools are still not fully opened and schools are still not buying. And even the staff transportation or intercity transportation is also still suppressed. So therefore, buses are down. Buses continue to be down. Trucks are back to normal. March is a normal month. It's a good demand, in fact. And going forward, we are expecting that the market is going to be good. And there are good positive sentiments. There will be huge replacement demand and infrastructure investment. So I think the market, CV, as far as CV is concerned, we can say the worst is behind us. Okay,
the worst is behind. But is the worst behind in terms of the ECU shortage, Mr. Aggarwal? Because that is a situation that has really resulted in a lot of production constraints. Where is the sector right now? Where is the industry right now in terms of shortage?
That shortage is still persisting and it is expected that will still go on for at least another quarter. So that problem is still there.
So what is the capacity utilization, Mr. Aggarwal, at your end?
Like this month, we are planning to produce almost 7,000 trucks, and which will be almost 70% capacity utilization, I would say.
Okay. And the constraint is demand or the constraint is supply?
Right now, there is both. In fact, demand is in fact better than the supply.
Okay. And what about you, Nishant? At your end, what is the capacity utilization?
So capacity utilization is going up to the level of about 60-65%, and definitely we see a very good demand, especially in electric buses. We've been working with multiple cities across India, giving them complete EV ecosystem solutions. So we have already done that in Gujarat, in Karnataka. Now we are doing the same in Maharashtra, in Andaman, Nicobar, and many other cities and states. And definitely I see that the demand is picking up and there is a very good growth. in the EV segment and also in the CNG segment. Now we are working with Delhi and a few other cities as well. So I see a very good future outlook for the organization.
Sure. All the best, Vinod and Nishan. Thanks for stopping by. So, scrappage policy or no scrappage policy, the demand has definitely picked up in the commercial vehicle space and in the electric vehicle space as well, as the gentlemen were pointing out. And the scrappage policy needs to be incentive-based, or else it will not encourage old fleet owners to replace their vehicle. But let's look at the past financials, both for Eicher Motors as well as for JBM Auto. First up, the revenue on your screen. It has been steady state. FY20 was a difficult year, but before that, it's been on the climb. Next is the EBITDA trend, and lastly, the profit after tax performance northwards for the EBITDA as well. And similar is the case for the profit after tax. Let's get JBM Auto's past performance as well for you, just to give you a sense of which way things have gone. Very strong for them actually. 1500 was the base in FY16. Now they've moved to 2200. Next up, the EBITDA picture comes up for you. Strong there as well. And finally, the profit after tax. Ever since they came out with the bus division is when their profitability has improved.
Okay, take a quick break. The market's still kind of dilly-dallying, though, in the green.